All the world is a birthday cake. And how you play is all that matters in the end. Spoilers coming up. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and on this episode of the Orville, All the World is a Birthday Cake, it centers around the fact that Bortus and Kelly have the same, well, a birthday only about 6 days apart. And the idea that they should have a joint birthday party wasn't really embraced by Bortus that much. He said, I'd like it to be my special day and not just shared with anybody. Oh, fair enough. But the show starts out with an alien civilization that has early 21st century technology, it would seem, and except that they are now making their first foray to send a message into the cosmos asking, is anybody out there? And that's what gets this episode started. Before we say anything about that, I want to mention that Robert Duncan McNeill was the director of this. He was Lieutenant Paris, of course, in Star Trek Voyager, and actually directed a couple of episodes, or more than a couple, during the Voyager run. So he is an experienced director and did a wonderful job with this show. I can't say that a whole lot of it was terribly predictable. Some of the things that they put out in front of us, we weren't sure exactly how they were going to come out. And that makes for a good drama that makes you want to see what's going to come next. So I have to say that all in all, this was very well done. They have some good lines in it as well. But basically, when they make their first contact, you know at least that nothing is going to go perfectly right, because it would be too short an episode if they just came down, shook hands, everything is nice, we'll send you tickets to the next intergalactic ball, and they're gone. No, there has to be some kind of cultural problem here that's not completely compatible with the Union. And in this case, we have the show is probably kind of a parable of religion, but instead of attacking religion directly, they go to astrology. This is something that even people on Earth believe in. And obviously on this planet, it was widespread. Everybody believed in it. And up to the point that if you were born under the wrong sign, you were put in jail. And if you were born under the perfect sign, you were immediately put in a special school to be the new leaders. This is kind of an interesting way to organize a society, but it would not be the first time someone had used astrology in order to make decisions. So we have our new cast member that's introduced, Tala Keali, who is a Selayan, and she is a different kind of Selayan, though. She's brought over to the Orville, and on her record is kind of tarnished, almost kind of like Ed was. He was given this second chance kind of thing, and it would seem that Tala also is. In her zeal to protect her previous commander, she actually punched him, and this becomes kind of a running joke throughout the episode of whether she was going to punch Ed. At any rate, they go down and they make first contact. They find that the astrology base of this civilization is causing people to be unjustly imprisoned based on the supposition that just by their birth sign they're going to be violent or criminals of some sort. And at the luncheon or dinner, which was given in the honor of Ed and Kelly and the others, that they find that Bortus and Kelly are born under a bad sign, and therefore they're immediately whisked off to jail. And Ed's entreaties that we don't know your ways and we didn't mean to offend, and is there anything that we can do just to get our people and get out, would not be heard from them. They'll say, well, just do without your people, get in your ship, get out of here. We don't have anything to do to you if you want to harbor criminals. So they are being perfectly reasonable in their point of view, perfectly unreasonable, of course, in our view and in Ed's. And so, of course, we know that it's going to be a matter of how do we get around the Union's version of the Prime Directive, where you do not go in and interfere with the government or revolution of another civilization. And they go back to the ship and confer with Admiral Perry. We've seen Admiral Halsey before, but this time, and they use the names of World War II admirals, interestingly. Admiral Perry is played by Ted Danson, and it doesn't look so bad in a Union uniform, I think. At any rate, I was thinking at this point that it was very similar to the episode Justice in The Next Generation, where Wesley Crusher accidentally falls into a flower bed and is sentenced to death for messing up flowers or crossing a white fence or something like that. And we have the same kind of problem with Picard, except that it went in a different direction on this. And so the similarities are there, but the follow-through was completely different. And that made this episode more compelling than I thought it would be. They had some good lines here when they are in the early parts of their dinner. The prefect says to Ed, "You must live in a utopia." And Ed says, "Well, we still have in-laws." Another one where a person is giving birth, Bortus mentions it's much easier with an egg. Also a funny line. I like that too. And generally speaking, they did not fall back on some things. They attempt a breakout, but they're not successful to it. I give them kudos for not immediately being able to, unarmed, completely overwhelm an entire camp full of people with machine guns. There is a good shootout, and there is more violence in this than you usually see in most science fiction shows, although, there's some people that are hit with ray guns from time to time, but there was a lot of bullets flying in both directions, and, 2 or 3 guards are taken out. So I would say this is, it was not terribly bloody. It wasn't terribly graphic, but a lot more shooting than you usually see in shows like this. So also interesting, also very action-packed, but they don't automatically break themselves out. What has to happen is they have to work the math up on the ship and figure out what they can do, what caused the sign that Kelly and Bortus were born under to be the problem, and what they could do in reality or artificially in order to fix that. And so they do come up with a good idea. We know that Kelly and Bortus are going to be sprung, and the way they do it is clever. The way they rationalize it is clever. The way they say that by the time they're found out, that perhaps the civilization will be advanced enough to just laugh it off. So that's my thoughts on All the World is a Birthday Cake. And by the end of it, of course, any good show, you have something that starts out with one attitude and ends with another. And in this case, it's the attitude of Bortus, who now is very happy to have a joint birthday party as long as he doesn't have to be in jail for it. So that's my thoughts on this, and I'd like to know what you think about it, of course, in the comments. Please do make a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and until we do our Discovery review, which should come out pretty soon, within a day. Don't go far.